We made sugar at home using just what we had growing here on our land. This natural wild sugar is healthier than table sugar, never spoils, and tastes amazing. This is maple sugar, and today I'll show you exactly how to make this kitchen gold, from getting the sap and making the syrup to cooking it down so you can use it the same way you would regular sugar. All you need to make this is some pure maple syrup. You can use any maple syrup as long as it's pure maple syrup. We used our own maple syrup that we made ourselves, but other maple syrups, including this one from Costco, work fine too. If you just want to learn how to turn the syrup into sugar, feel free to skip to that section of this video. Or stay a while and listen to the story of how we made the sugar from the trees right here on our farm. Every spring, when the nights are still below freezing, but the days start to warm up, the sap begins to flow. Now, all trees make sap, which is a watery, sugary liquid that moves the nutrients throughout the tree. But maple trees have a higher sugar content and make the best sap. This year, we discovered that we have sugar maple trees on our farm. You can spot a sugar maple by its leaf shape, which looks like the leaf on a Canadian flag. But if it's winter and you have no leaves to check, look for trees with grayish-brown bark and rough vertical ridges. Sugar maples also have branches that grow in opposite directions. But you can also collect sap from other maples too. We started with a simple maple sugaring kit. It came with a drill bit, a few taps, some buckets, and lids. I'll link the kit in the description below if you're curious. So one March day, when it was well above freezing, we drilled a small hole into the maple tree and gently inserted the tap. Almost immediately, the sap began to drip, one clear drop at a time, right into the buckets. After 24 hours, the bucket was full, and we brought the sap into our kitchen. We filtered it and set it on the stove to boil, and boil, and boil. It takes hours, but slowly that clear sap transforms into golden syrup. You can also boil it outside over a fire if you prefer. We've done that too. A big roasting pan like this works really well. Now, how do you know when the syrup is ready? You want to heat it to 7 degrees Fahrenheit above the boiling point of water, which for us is exactly 219 degrees Fahrenheit or 104 degrees Celsius. You can also get fancy and use a hydrometer or refractometer. We tried both, and the hydrometer gave us the best results. Once it hits the right stage, we filtered the syrup a couple more times and poured it into sterilized jars. Now, the color of the syrup changes throughout the season. Early sap becomes light amber and delicate. Later sap is richer, darker, and more robust. Both are delicious, and there's something really special about knowing you made it. This year, we collected about 40 gallons of sap, which gave us just about 1 gallon of syrup. We love that we got something so sweet from our trees. If you want to try tapping your trees, check the video description for more detailed information. But there's one more step most people don't take, one more transformation. You can simply keep cooking the syrup to remove even more of the water and make maple sugar. There's no need to stop when you're making sugar. But I will explain the process as if you've already made or you bought your syrup. I prefer to make all of the syrup first and then make the sugar when I need it, because then I have the option of either syrup or sugar, and even other things like maple butter, maple cream, or maple candy. To make maple sugar, you need a large saucepan with a heavy bottom, a way to stir your sugar such as a wooden spoon or an electric mixer, a heat source which can be a stove or a fire, and a thermometer so you know when to remove it from the heat. I recommend a digital thermometer as it's easier to read. You'll also want a sifter like this metal mesh one and something to sift your sugar into, such as this pan. And that's it. Start with your sap or your maple syrup. If you don't make your own syrup, just be sure you're using 100% pure maple syrup with no added ingredients. The process works the same regardless of whether you start with sap or syrup, and you'll still end up with that beautiful caramely maple sugar. I started with a 16-ounce jar of maple syrup in a 3-quart saucepan, but you can increase how much syrup you start with if you have a larger pan. Now turn on the heat. I started low, and I put the thermometer in to watch the temperature. I gradually turned my heat up to medium-high. Your syrup will begin to bubble and then boil, and you'll want to stay right there to watch it so it doesn't boil over. The boiling process removes more water from the syrup, which is how we'll turn this from a syrup to a sugar. As you're boiling, the syrup will bubble up more and more. You definitely do not want it to boil over, as that will make a huge mess. I speak from experience. If it does start to boil over, turn down the heat right away. Or you can place your wooden spoon across the top of the pan, which will discourage a boil over. But do not stir it with the spoon. Another thing you can do to prevent a boil over is put a bit of fat, such as butter or oil, on the inside edge of the saucepan, on the back of your wooden spoon that's laying over your saucepan, or even in the syrup itself. Keep an eye on the temperature and watch for it to get between 257 and 262 degrees Fahrenheit, or 127 and 130 degrees Celsius. There we go. I let mine go all the way up to 262 degrees. Once it hits that temperature range, remove it from the heat and immediately start stirring vigorously with your wooden spoon. You can also use an electric hand mixer for this, which will be easier on your hands and arms. After about 5 minutes or so of this, it's going to change from this viscous liquid to something magical. Watch for it. And there we go. It's so cool. I love this. It just starts to crystallize at some point during the stirring and even changes color. Now keep stirring for 10 to 15 more minutes, getting everything mixed well and flatten out any little balls of sugar that will probably form. Now you want to sift the sugar into a bowl or a pan. There will be little chunks left over after you sift it, and you can either save them for snacks or oatmeal or hot drinks, or you can put them into a food processor or a mill to break them down even further. A food processor works okay, but the mill works the best at getting all of the sugar into granulated form. Now your saucepan is going to be a sticky mess, but it's okay. All you need to do is put some water into your saucepan and either turn the heat back on, which will dissolve all of that mess back into essentially sugar water, which you can then boil right down into sugar again. Or you can just simply put it into the sink with some hot water and let that hot water dissolve all of the sugar. So it's pretty easy. It will seem intimidating, but it's not that bad. And that's it. The syrup turns into just about the same amount of sugar. So my 16 ounces of syrup became 16 ounces of sugar. From one maple tree, I think you could get just about 4 pounds of sugar. That's about 2 kilograms of sugar, which is equivalent to 1 bag of sugar from the store. You might have sugar right in your own backyard, just waiting to be tapped. When the sugar is completely dry, store it in an airtight jar at room temperature. If you'd like to see how I keep my sugar free from moisture and always ready to use, check out my long-term food storage video. It's really easy and it will help you increase your food security too. You can eat maple sugar the same way you would regular cane sugar. Just substitute maple sugar for table sugar in a 1-to-1 ratio in any recipe. This delicious natural sweetener has trace minerals, antioxidants, a lower glycemic index, which means it causes a slower and more gradual rise in blood sugar levels, and it's less processed. Maple sugar is even thought to be slightly healthier than honey, if you can believe that. That said, maple sugar is still sugar, so it's best to use it in moderation. What I love about this sugar is that I can make it entirely myself, and I love being self-sufficient. As long as I can find a maple tree, I will always have sugar. And I love baking and cooking with maple syrup and maple sugar, and sharing those recipes with you here too. Have you ever tried maple sugar? Would you give it a go? Let me know if you have any questions. Just drop them in the comments. I hope you try making maple sugar because it will amaze you.